everyone, my name is Prism, and today I wanted to make a video reviewing a Canine related film. Welcome everyone to another episode of Canine Cinema, and today I'm going to be talking about 2019's The Art of Racing in the Rain. Now, The Art of Racing in the Rain is based on the book by Garth Stein. Sorry if I am mispronouncing that, but basically it was originally a novel that has been around for many years, and in 2019, a film adaptation was released. And I will warn you guys that this is a different type of dog movie. This is a very depressing film. It is a lot more about the human characters and how the dog views their lives than the dog's own life. But I do want to talk about it. I actually do really like this movie, and I'm just going to be discussing it and highlighting some things that I really like about it. So I guess first off, we should note that the dog is voiced by Kevin Costner. Now, the way they do this story, and I haven't read the full novel, I read a little bit of it, but then I kind of lost interest. But the way they do the story is, it's the dog retelling the events that happened in his life. Because the dog believes in Mongolian folklore that when he dies, he will be reincarnated as a man. And so he is trying to impart on his soul these memories of his owner, Danny, their relationship, Danny's relationship with his wife, and all that trauma and drama that happens. There's a lot of stuff that goes on, and it's really a film about just the dog experiencing what the humans are going through. It's more so a human story than a dog story. Now, on paper, I can see why this film is pretty off-putting. It is quite a weird concept. But I find it charming. I really do. I enjoy The Art of Racing in the Rain because, well, for one, it has a dog in it. It is a film with a golden retriever. And I do love dogs, so obviously there's that bias in there. But also, I just think that the story is very emotional with the humans. It is a very dramatic story. I think, arguably, if this were sold in like a thrift store or something like that, and they had them by categories, you would find this film in a drama section. Not really a family section, despite that it has a PG rating, which I find a little bit weird, especially with the source material, but it has a PG rating, but I would still consider it a highly dramatic film. Alright, so one thing I do want to really say before I get into the spoilers is that I really like the music in this movie. There's a particular scene where they use a lot of piano to kind of tell you this thing is happening. I mean, you can visually see it, but the way they use the piano, the way it's done, I really like. There's a kind of montage where we're getting to see a scene play out, but we don't get to see everything. It's kind of like just... Basically, I think it's meant to be what the dog is imagining, or it's meant to be what's going on, but they don't play out the whole scene with dialogue and everything. They just kind of have, like, you know, transitional fades and, like, lighting, glare, and stuff. Like, they do it in a way where you see what you need to see, but they don't show everything. And they really set the mood with the vocal piece they have during that, and I just really like the music in this film. Apparently it is composed by Dustin O'Halloran and Volker Berleman, and they do a great job. Like, I haven't looked at their other work, and I haven't really analyzed the whole soundtrack, because that's not really my kind of thing, but I just really noticed it when watching the film, that I really like the music in this. And also, there's a couple, you know, real-life songs thrown in there. Real life, I mean, like, you know, pre-written songs that weren't really for the movie, but that they put in, and I really like. They just do a great job, and I really like the film soundtrack. So let's basically explain what goes on in the film. So, for spoilers, Denny Swift is a race car driver, and one day he goes to a farm on the side of the road and gets a little golden retriever puppy named Enzo. And he takes care of this dog. And for many years, it's just him and this dog. And Danny does race car driving. The dog always gets to watch. Very just basic life. But then Danny meets this girl, Eve, who is an English teacher. And, of course, meets the grandparents and stuff. But basically, Eve and Danny get along very well. And so they get married, start a family. And then a few years into it, Eve is... They don't specify what she is diagnosed with in the film. They don't come out and say it. But I would assume from the imagery and certain characteristics, it would be cancer. Though I could be completely wrong on that. But basically she gets cancer, and then she passes away, and there's all this baggage with the relatives thinking about what's best for Zoe, their daughter, or whatever, and the grandpa specifically is very hostile on the situation. He very much... He's just trying to protect his daughter, Eve, in a way, and her granddaughter, Zoe. You know, his granddaughter. Basically, he's just trying to protect her and doesn't think that Danny's life is a good lifestyle for her because he's always on the road, he's always on trips. And so Danny has to go through all this court drama and everything to try and secure his rights to his own daughter. And in the end, he does, but along the way, there's an accident with Enzo, and it leads him to passing away at the end of the film. Not straight from that. The dog was getting older anyways, but it definitely, I would assume, speeds up that traumatic process. But then we come back to really where the film started, with Enzo lying on the mat. And after that, we see a scene of Danny and Enzo racing on the racetrack together. And what it's meant to be, and when I say that, it's Danny racing, and Enzo's just sitting alongside him. But it's just a really sweet scene of their friendship together, and you get some little flashbacks to what we saw previously in the film, just kind of signifying that this is the end of Enzo in this life. But basically, we jump around 8 years later, and Danny meets a kid named Enzo, and it kind of is like, oh, he was reincarnated as a man, and yeah. It's a really sweet film. I do think it is a really sweet film. I definitely think that if you are not prepared for it, you will cry. I didn't cry. I don't really get emotional with films, but I know my mom, when she saw it with me for the first time, she found it very depressing. It is honestly a very depressing film, but overall, I actually liked it. I really did. I've seen this film, I think, 3 times, and every time I do enjoy it. It's a really sweet story, honestly. I find it very enjoyable. Just to watch. Definitely not a film for everyone, but it definitely is one that I keep in my collection. If I had to give the film a rating, I would probably give it a 7 out of 10. I don't really know what I would change, but I don't think it's the greatest film ever at the same time. So I'd give it a 7 to an 8 out of 10. But that's actually going to be my review for The Art of Racing in the Rain. A very emotional film, but it is definitely one that I do enjoy, and I'm happy that I finally got to make a review on it. Alright, thanks guys!